Have you ever noticed that knitting some days feels completely different to others? Sometimes it's just a task or something that you do just because you do it as a habit, and sometimes it creates those little magical moments where you just enter that flow state and really forget about time, and you wish that those little moments could last forever. All right, number 9 is the one I'm looking most forward to. I wish I did it earlier. And that's something that's super exciting and something that happens to me a lot of times. And let me tell you that there are 10 little ways to create those moments that you will never forget. And so your knitting is more than just something you make, it's just something that creates also a memory that will last for years. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sarah and this is my little corner of the internet where I talk about yarn, knitting and a cozy creative lifestyle. We have a little coffee chat here and there, and if this is something you like, then please subscribe to the channel and stick around. So let's romanticize our knitting and explore what we can do to make it a little bit more magical. So let's start with number 1, which is very simple but very effective, and I would say just create a ritual of mindfulness around it. Before you start knitting, don't think what can I achieve today, or how far can I get, or how much progress can I make, can I finish that skein of yarn, or can I finish that sleeve. Instead of saying how productive can I be, I would say what can I notice today. Can I notice the progress? Can I notice how cozy it feels? Can I notice how it calms me down when I start knitting? Or can I notice how beautiful sunset outside is? Or can I notice what it feels different to last time? Or can I remember what I was thinking about when I knitted on it last time? So this is not something like a ritual that is just like I cozy up on my couch, I turn on a YouTube playlist, or I make myself a hot drink or a nice snack, or sit on this exact same spot as I always do. It's more something like, hey, the ritual of getting into that mindful mindset, like being open to that flow state, I would say. So being open to that mindfulness and that little magical moments is step number 1. So suddenly your nervous system just relaxes and settles down before you even start knitting, and you're already trained yourself to calm down before you actually do the thing that you want to do to calm down actually. So now we are wrapped up in our blanket and we start knitting, and the good thing is that we are already calmed down and can enjoy the process even more. And so that's the first thing that is already a little bit magical, because sometimes we just start out of a stressful day and we do it to relax and calm down and cannot enjoy the process as much as we could because we are still processing what has happened on our way home. But if we can tell ourselves that we can relax and be mindful before we even start, it creates a little bit more of a mindful flow state atmosphere. And for me that works like 99% of all times. Number 2 is notice the tiny magic. We are mostly in the habit of knitting something, and some things just go on autopilot. So sometimes we can just remember ourselves that there is already a little bit of magic in those things we make. Number 2 is notice the tiny magic. We are mostly in the habit of knitting something, and some things just go on autopilot. So sometimes we can just remember ourselves that there is already a little bit of magic in those things we make. Knitting is full of tiny miracles as we go, and most of the times we knit on autopilot, like in the round or back and forth. We just have those muscle memories that tell us exactly what to do, right? But sometimes it's just good to take a break and see, oh, this is a thread. And then I do something with it and suddenly it's fabric. Or hey, I have 2 sticks and a tiny piece of yarn, and so then you start twisting that yarn and wrapping it around and creating little loops, and suddenly there is a fabric with a 3-dimensional shape, and that's totally awesome. Somebody invented 2 sticks and tiny movements that already look like a little bit of witchcraft and magical movement, and then you can do a heel and you can shape it not around only on your body, you can shape that shape on your body as well, and suddenly it also fits and you have that 3-dimensional object created with a thread and 2 sticks. And if this is not magic, then what is? Or just notice how the yarn feels in your hand. And then you have that fabric, and that fabric created from that yarn feels different on different body parts. Like it feels different on your arm than it feels on your cheek or on your foot or wherever you put it. Like if you make like a glove, then suddenly the same yarn feels different on your foot, even if you're using the exact same yarn. So there are tiny little magical moments that you can notice that are just a little bit different than expected when you pay attention to it. Or let's say you knitted a piece of lace and it really looks like crinkled up on your needles, and then you block it and it turns out completely different, and it's so beautiful and even, and you can see all the details you created in it. Or you knitted a sleeve and it's only for a few centimeters, only like a weird hole attached to another weird hole, which is your neckline, and then you continue doing it and shaping it, and suddenly it looks like a sleeve. And all of that is tiny moments that need to be recognized because they are already there. This is not like something we put into it, it's just something that we can notice, and every teeny tiny detail that we can notice makes it a little bit more special and adds a little bit of magic. Number 3 is something that I recently discovered, and it is imagine your knitting has already a life waiting for it. There is a little bit of yarn and needles and maybe a tiny project bag and an idea of something that I want to make, but there is something that's already inside that project and I bring it to life and I use it in my daily life. So there is something that creates a little bit of a story around it. So whenever I start knitting on it, I feel like, hey, now it's a sweater, but could this sweater be the one that I wear for the first day of snow? Or could this sweater be the one that I wear at my grandma's birthday? Or could this cardigan be the one that I grab when I want to go out for an autumn walk? Or is this my new I go out with my dog sweater? Or hey, this will be the socks that I will wear when I open my first day of Advent little gift, And so this is something that, hey, it's a forecast or a prediction of happy moments that I will create with the thing that is not finished yet, but it will be finished, and those little future events are predicted to be happening as well. So the thought of creating something in this very moment, in this present moment, will be finished in a future moment that will happen because you're creating it, and then you will use it in a future moment that you can predict that will be happening, like in your future. That connects just a very good idea and memory of the future itself. And that's something that feels very magical to me, and it connects me with my knitting piece, and it's very grounding. Like not only something that I enjoy right now, because right now I enjoy it a lot, but in the future I will be enjoying as well. And I have that great moment that I will enjoy as well. So those like 3 layers come together right now, and that's creating like a present piece. Number 4 is making tiny seasonal transitions. Now we had some future memories, let's just come back to what's happening with the seasons, So in spring I have the habit of finishing winter stuff. I will definitely need my winter items probably up until May, because we have cold days in May as well. And until then I have that period of time that I use to finish up my winter projects, or I decide that I will leave them and pick them up again next winter when winter starts and I feel like knitting them again. But I will definitely not carry them into August, September, because that's just a different season. So I just finish those in spring and then transition into lighter yarns and thinner needles and just a whole different feeling. Because I'm not the person that has those New Year's reset mindset. I carry things along, and then when the days get warmer or longer, then I reset everything and then I set new goals. And what has not been finished in the past does not have to be finished right now. It can wait, or it can just be left behind. Same goes for summer. Summer for me is where knitting is just slower and I'm not that productive, but hey, that's just a circle of life, Sometimes life takes a break and knitting takes its break in summer, even though there are a lot of summer knitting ideas and inspiration. It's just, for me, it's the tiny things, I knit socks and accessories, and I plan and I do like a de-stash, or I go through my whips and see what I want to do or what I want to, just don't finish. Sometimes that's just like a reset period where I take a break, and that's fine too. I knitted a lot of socks lately, and that's fine too. It doesn't have to be the like big pieces all the time. Sometimes it's just tiny pieces just to keep yourself like in the habit, or just enjoy yourself, and that's good enough. And then there is autumn, where everybody is just picking up their needles again, and then it goes until March or April, let's say. And then when the days get longer, or we get more outside, and the winter in our like calendar year's over, then it starts flattening a little bit, and that's just how it goes. And I celebrate that as well, because I know that there is time for other things in my life now, and that this is just a time where I take a little bit of a break again, because I know that in September it'll go up again. And that's just how seasons change, and that is how our knitting behavior changes. And embracing those seasons and creating maybe even little rituals around it makes it even more special, because every season in life has its own behavior, and hey, our knitting season has its own behaviors and rituals too. So let's just incorporate that and make it a little bit special. Alright, number 5 is also something I feel very connected to, because it's be more curious than productive. So what does that mean? So being curious instead of productive can mean a lot of different things, and it can be something else for everybody. And it was surprisingly difficult for me, because it's kind of like the same as the first point, where there was like mindful moment before even starting knitting begins. But it's also something that's taking the pressure off, because being curious is more about, hey, let's just discover and let's be a little bit playful instead of being productive. Because I don't like that, like, can I finish that sock now? Or probably I can finish that sleeve, or I can finish 10 centimeters today, or let's from this cumulus top 20 centimeters. Okay, I can do that in 2 days. But instead of that, we should ask ourselves a little bit of a different question. Because when you shift it into asking, what can I notice about it today? What can I notice about myself today while I do it? Then you take the rush out of it, because girl, you are not in a rush. You don't have to finish this like a machine. You are not a knitting machine. You just enjoy your free and spare time and your hobby, and that's good enough. Hey, you have that rhythm while knitting. That's fine. You don't have to speed it up. Like, calm down actually. Like, be curious how it feels, how your like thoughts wander to different directions while you do it, or just notice why you want to hurry that much, or why you want to get it finished. Because sometimes, you're making a present, and that present needs to be finished for that birthday in 2 weeks. But hey, that summer is still long. It doesn't matter if you finish that 7 rows tonight, or if you just do it tomorrow. Like, nobody cares, so why should you care? And when you take out the speed, it's much more like, hey, this feels so squishy, this feels so soft. Oh, I never noticed that noise of that needles with that yarn. And hey, it's getting heavier. Or hey, my yarn ball is just a little bit, it's like very like feels lighter. Or hey, I've been knitting so long, the light changed completely. And hey, it's not like, I've been knitting so long, it's already dark, I can't see anything anymore. It's like, hey, I can lean into my muscle memory. I don't even have to look at my knitting anymore. I just can like trust myself in the process and wherever it takes me, And that's just like curiosity makes ordinary moments feel special, and productivity really does. It just does not. Productivity is something that does not connect us to ourselves. And being curious and being mindful just does. And I think that should be the center of everything. All right, number 6 is knit somewhere unexpected. We mostly wait until we are home, and then we wind down, and then we sit on the couch at the exact same spot, and then we start knitting, and we sit there like with our legs, the weirdest positions possible. Like, you've been there, your back hurts, your arms hurt, everything gets a little bit crampy. But that's just how we do it. And that's cozy and that's comfy and that's all right. But have you ever noticed that if you knit somewhere else, could be a different room in your flat or in your apartment, in your house, wherever, it kind of feels different? And then push it even further. Like take your knitting to a botanical garden and then find a banana tree or a coffee tree or a coconut tree and then sit under that banana tree and then you knit your socks. You will never forget that you knit this sock under a banana tree, because that's something your brain just loves, you know? It's unexpected, but it's also fun. It's just fun and something else, but still very cozy and comfy. Or have you ever taken your knitting to a museum and then you're suddenly sat under a giant dinosaur and you're knitting that Sophie scarf? Just something that's very mindless knitting, but at a very different place. And I swear this will create a memory you will love, because there is the picture from me under that dinosaur where I just thought, oh, I need to knit a few stitches on that Sophie scarf that I carried me for just knitting on the go. And I just keep asking myself, how many rows and how much yarn would I use for that giant dinosaur like Sophie scarf? And that's just something that's playful and fun and not too serious. It could be anywhere, like take your car to a car wash and sit in the car while it gets washed and then you knit a little bit. Or to like a library where the smell is different, or to a public park if you're not that adventurous but it's close to you, then just go there and listen to the sounds there while you do something. Or if this is not possible, then you maybe just open your window and listen to what's going on outside or how it smells, or on your balcony, or just to a different time of the day, not the usual day you do it, but it just feels a little bit different. It doesn't have to be a place that's very far away or only a holiday or a very remote area that you go to just have that experience, just to have it. It can be in your home, like on your open window or on your balcony or the park you used to go to, or just somewhere. And you don't have to finish the whole project there, and just do a few little rows or just a little bit, or just bring it there and do a few stitches. I mean, I was not sitting under the dinosaur the whole day until I finished it. It was just 5 minutes or something, but it keeps the memory sticking to something, to a happening and to the feeling that you had while that was happening. And that's just something that adds a lot to the finished object, because whenever I gift that now or wear it now, then that's a dinosaur or that's a banana or that's a whatever you can think of. It's possible, and just add a little bit more fun to the experience. Number 7 is celebrate the tiny little first. When did you really notice the tiny little first for the last time? You do cast-ons on repetition and on autopilot all the time. You don't have to even look at what you're doing anymore. But that first loop on the needle, great, celebrate it. Joining to the round, celebrate it. Finishing the first round, good, there you go. And then finishing the first lace repeat, yes, that's totally awesome. And then you go and repeat, and then you finish that first sock instead of saying second sock syndrome, I'm going to do that again. Yes, celebrate it, you're going to do that whole thing again. Wow, great engineering. And then you're going to do that whole thing on repeat. Great. That's something. I think in that productive world, we keep celebrating finished objects all the time. Watch a podcast and somebody shows you 5 finished objects. I think that's great. I love watching it, but I cannot finish 5 objects every month, 5 projects that's finished and done. I don't have the time to do that, but I have the time to finish all those little things, the tiny little firsts, and I keep celebrating them as if it was as big as the finished object. So we spend so much time chasing the finished object and the little dopamine hit of the finished thing that we forget that creativity mostly lives in those tiny present moments, and the joy doesn't have to wait until you bind it off. The joy is already there and you can tap into it at any time. Number 8 is curate a beautiful knitting basket. Not because you need expensive things, or not because we need more clutter, or we are not minimal. I'm not like that, but because beautiful things invite us to use them. And beautiful things that have like a clean or useful or inviting, beautiful things just invite us to use them. It could be a basket, it could be only a project bag, depending on how much space you have or how much space you want to use for it, but have it like beautiful put together with only the things you need, maybe a little bit of something that's an extra, like a pretty stitch marker or a pretty measure tape or the bit more luxurious needles, something like that. And maybe even a little pen and a notebook so that you can make notes as you go, but something that's just inviting you to use it, because if you always like have your knitting somewhere and then you untangle it and then you like take your needles out of it and then you just have to like look for it and then you see, oh yeah, that's my to-do list for tomorrow, and oh, what's that? Okay, I've been using okay, I was looking for that hair clip for a long time. Oh, what is that? Oh yeah, all right, I've been looking for that as well. Okay, what? A little stone? Okay, where does that come from? Oh, that's just not inviting. That's not something that's positive. That's just annoying. When everything has its place and it's organized, then it feels safe, and it's just something where you can calm down. There is nothing to interrupt, nothing to disturb, not a to-do list, not a task, just pure joyful invitation of relaxing. All right, number 9 is the one I'm looking most forward to. I wish I did it earlier. I thought it was such a good idea, and let me tell you about it. Number 9 is writing a little note to your future self when you cast on a new project. And this makes me excited, even though I just talk about it to a camera, And I wish everyone would do it because it's special. Imagine when you cast on something new, then you write a little letter to yourself. It could be anything, just write something down. I used those little cards. It could be anything. Just take a piece of paper and a pen and write something. If you don't know what to write to yourself, then write down the date, the weather, what you think about, what the TV show is that you're just watching, what you're thinking about, and maybe a little wish for the future. And I did it for a couple of times, and then I was just start writing little letters to my future self and what I want for her and what I want to tell her or what I want to like have her remembered. And it created a whole nother layer of mindfulness to my project, because then you just like seal it, you close it, you're not gonna look into it anymore. You just put it in an envelope or wherever you want to put it. And then you put it in your project bag. And then you like actually put it in that bag or wherever you have it. And then you put it away. And then you knit, and then you finish your project. And then you have like a little time capsule that you can open when you finish that thing. And when you knit a cardigan, it can be months. When you knit a sweater that overlasts winter and you pick it up next autumn, then there is a whole year in between it. And that's so cool. I wish I would have done earlier, but I probably will now do it for every single thing that I cast on. And if I would make it for a gift, like if I knit gift socks or like a scarf or whatsoever, then I would write something that I gift within the gift to the person who receives it, because there's something magical in it. I can't stop smiling because I love it so much. And when I started knitting the folklore cardigan, I thought that I wish I had the idea already, and I knew that there will be a lot of memories and all of that memories that I will have when I take it or put it on. But even then, like when I had the idea that I could do that, I wrote a whole letter and I put the letter into my project bag, even though I'd already finished like a sleeve and a front piece. It didn't matter, you can do it at any time, and put it in. And then I imagined what that sweater will make me feel like, what that net sweater, like cardigan, will make me feel like, what I want to experience wearing it, what I wish to experience while wearing it, how it will make me feel, and what that cardigan's life already is, what that cardigan already knows about me. Because what I was, like everything I was feeling, or everything that I could remember I was feeling while knitting on it, I wrote down everything, and I think it's 2 or 3 pages, and I could not stop. So if this is something you like, please try it, and you don't have to tell anyone about it. It's more like a diary style. It can be like a diary style, it can be like newspaper style, like just hard facts, but could be very emotional. And then when you put it on for the first time, open the letter to yourself or whatever you wrote down and just feel it. And that's something that's very cool. I really hope. If you try that once, please let me know. Don't tell me what you wrote into it, because that's very private and personal to you. But if you try it, please let me know in the comments below if you do so. Let's have a sip of coffee. that was a good one. Let's have a sip of coffee. All right, and number 10, last one. If you're still here, also leave a yellow heart in the comments below. All right, and number 10 is leave a little magic for tomorrow. Now, I already said that I think knitting and productivity are kind of woven into each other, but counter each other a little bit. And so sometimes when I think I'm getting in a rush, or I'm getting like in too much of a hurry, then I leave something for tomorrow. Those Kitchener stitches that I could finish now, I leave for tomorrow. I have like a little present for myself for tomorrow. Like the gift of the little, I finished something, is postponed until tomorrow and I can do it then. Or the next lace repeat, or finishing the heel construction, or I could bind off that sleeve now, but I leave it tomorrow because I get to have the feeling of I got something done then. There is a little bit of excitement. Or if you're knitting with stripes, then you want, you want to like go and go and go and go. And I know it's very chocolate chippy, but I finish when I really want to go for the next one. Like keeping that little excitement in for a bit and keeping that tension in a little bit. And tomorrow when I go and pick it, I can, I wanted to knit that white stripe yesterday. Finally, I get to do it. And I think that counters that being in a rush and getting things finished and like doing a lot and creating more. I think that's a very forced break, but also a very mindful break, because it's something you very looking forward to have the next day or to have waiting for you. But it's just, it keeps you excited and it keeps you up for it tomorrow. So the thought of leaving something for your future self tomorrow is kind of like a deep form of self-care, because you give your future self, your tomorrow self, something to look forward to, intentional and with purpose, and you know already that you will enjoy it. And that's something like, we should do that. Like, if you agree, let me know, because sometimes having something to look forward to in the future that we already know we want is just great. And having it not fulfilled right now, even though we could, makes it more exciting. It's self-care. I think for me, that's kind of self-care, like keeping me excited for tomorrow. So keeping me excited for tomorrow is a deep form of self-care. And I think we all should do that. So and I think that that's why knitting is so different from any other hobby or many other hobbies, because it teaches us that the most things don't appear overnight. They grow and they need our patience and our attention and our time and dedication, and that sometimes you have to just wait for something nice to appear in the future or to be ready in the future. And that's why knitting feels so comforting to most of us, because it reminds us that the most things in life are not rushed. They are to be noticed because they are already there. You just have to bring them back and be with them, like not be in the future or ahead, or don't rush it. You're not in a rush. You just have that present moment. That present moment is created by you in tiny steps, and then by those tiny steps you have that visible progress, and those tiny steps will not show you the end result. The tiny steps just show you the way to the next and to the next and to the next, because if you're not getting to that knit two together, you will not go to that purl, and you will not go to that knit, and then we will probably not ever finish that like repeat you have to knit to see that whole pattern. And that's just a life lesson. You're not getting to A. If you're not getting to A, you're not getting to B, you're not getting to C. If you're not getting to knit that row, you're not gonna go to the bind off row. And noticing that like throughout knitting is the romanticization, and noticing all that already is the tiny magic, or the big magic knitting holds in itself. I gave you like 10 insights of what you can do as tiny little habits, but in general it all comes down to that very point of being in the present moment. I think that there is no other hobby than knitting who can teach us this, because it's slow, it's steady, it's only you and what you're doing. It's only your task, not somebody else's. No one does it for you. You will have to go step by step by step by step. And yeah, you're not in a rush. You just go from A to B to C, from stitch to stitch to stitch to stitch. And that keeps all the magic in itself. Yeah, and that's what making things with our own hands really gives us. It's just a meaningful way to spend time with ourselves and creating something that proves that. It brings time into something visible, it brings like work into something visible, and it creates this whole like put together action where you have to do something, you think about something, you have to feel something. That's just something that brings it all together. And then also, of course, remembers us that beautiful things take time. Not only time now, but also time in the future, and that it's all a collection. And even though it's so wonderful and so magical, it happens in the ordinary thing. You know, most of us don't create this like big event around knitting. That's just something we do on our own in our own living rooms or wherever. Most of us don't go to like big knitting events all the time, or like big knitting like evenings with others in our community. We just do it alone. Most of us do it alone and enjoy that alone time. And I think that's something to be cherished, because it's the ordinary, it's the basic, and the baseline is just beautiful, you know? It's just, it doesn't have to be special. It just has to be noticed to be special, because there is already that magical thing, and we just need to step into it. Now, if this is something that resonates with you, please let me know in the comments below. If you like more of those mindful knitting videos and be a little bit more thoughtful with our hobby, then please subscribe to the channel. And I'm really hoping to see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself, happy knitting, and I really hope you hang around with me next time. And yeah, see you soon. Bye.